Welcome to a new edition of Tackle Talk Tips. I'm Steve Graff, Ranger Diver Pro Staffer, along with Kevin Jean, V&M General Manager and Tournament Angler himself. Kevin, today we've got a hot topic that I think a lot of people are going to want to tune in, and this is something
This falls under the drama category of bass fishing.
Because drama can be definitely created through some of the situations we're fixing to go over right here. And this is a big problem on our waterways right now because they become so crowded. There's more confrontation on the water now than there's probably ever been. Mm-hmm. So real quick, let's start off with the very first one. Find your own fish, guys.
And we're going to say find your own fish, and I'm going to steal a little slogan here from P.D. Vincent at Bass Cash Bash. Bass Cash Bash. Yeah. Don't be that guy. Find your own fish.
That's right.
Again, like Steve said, the water's being crowded. People not having the time to go find their own fish. Or
not taking the time.
Not taking the time to go find your own fish. So they're looking at other routes and avenues to find fish for themselves.
Yeah.
So there's several different ways people are doing this. They're hiring a guide.
Yeah.
They are signing up to be a co-angler, like if there's an event a couple weeks before their event.
Right.
All the way to the marshaling program. For the elite level of Bassmaster Elite, the MFLW, those at those levels.
Right. Also, some guys have stooped to the level of binoculars in your boat. Don't be that guy with binoculars in your boat.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just over the top, okay? And it's unethical. It's just something that you shouldn't be doing. Again, there are unwritten rules on the water, and some of the stuff we're going over right now are some of these unwritten rules that it's called etiquette, guys and gals, youngsters that are out there high school. A lot of these, and some of this is occurring not just with the high school level, but you see this even on pro tournament level, and it's shameful when I see guys on our level doing the same thing that we preach to the kids and the college and the high school kids not to do.
So what brought this topic up now, and just last weekend, the FOW event on Sam Rayburn, I'm good friends with Corey Neese, who finished, I believe, fourth the FOW event last weekend on Sam Rayburn. I talked to Corey as he was driving home. So he had 21 pounds on day one, 20 on day two, had 12 on day two, 20 on day three. He's in second place in the tournament going into Championship Sunday.
He had a shot at $100,000.
$135,000 after you include the Phoenix bonus money.
Yeah.
So he has a day one Marshal, and I would never stir the pot with this, Steve, if I didn't know Corey well enough to believe in what he's telling me. Right. So he had a Marshal on day one.
By the way, a Marshal doesn't fish, but he's in the boat to monitor the pro angler.
To monitor.
Right.
And guys, Marshal is a great program. You can learn a lot being a Marshal.
Yep.
But go to learn, not to steal fishing holes.
Exactly.
Now, if you go, some guy like Corey from Tennessee, he shows you a spot, he's never going to be back on Sam Rayburn again. It's okay to go back to that later.
Yeah. Next week. Whatever.
So, going back to my story, he had a Marshal on day one. There was a large tournament going out of Castle Boykins on Sunday. When Corey got to his fish Sunday morning on Championship Sunday, the Marshal from day one was setting there fishing, Steve. He was fishing another tournament, and when Corey got there, he was already there. And it got all over me. It really did.
Well, again, that's that etiquette that we talk about, and
guys,
again,
this is what he does for a living.
Yes.
This guy is fishing for $135,000.
Yes.
He is feeding his family. This is what he does for a living.
It's his way of life. Yeah.
So the Marshal who stole his spot on day one not only comes back and fishes it, but he's fishing a tournament. First place might be $3,000.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, this is
and
don't be that guy.
And even though a lot of these pre-tournament meetings, the Marshals are told, hey, don't be, hole jumping your anglers, even though you fished with them on Monday, or you went out with them one day, don't come back 2 days later, or give those holes to another angler that's in the competition. You're not supposed to do that either. So there's rules and regulations for these Marshals that need to be honored. And again, there's just a right and there's wrong.
So on the topic of being a Marshal for all these pros, there's a lot of fans on the water watching them. Again, watching where they're fishing, how they're fishing, learning tips on what they need to be doing. Again, all of that is fine. Yeah. Don't take it to the next level, though. Some of these guys are fishing a spot, and as they're pulling away to leave, some of the fans pull up and start casting.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be that guy.
No, don't do that. These guys are here for a short time period, and they're trying to do well in an event. They need those fish to be there for 2 or 3 days. Sometimes they're 4-day events, like the FLW was. So,
well, even if they leave that spot, they're probably wanting to let it rest for a little while.
That's right.
Especially deep spots.
Yeah.
And then they're going to come back to it.
Right.
But hey, they leave, so all the fans out there, they're on the water are thinking, all right, well, they're leaving. I'm going to go catch me a few right here. Yeah. And they pull in and start casting. Well, they don't have time to rest. Right. Again, guys, these guys are doing this for a living. Yeah. You can wait till the tournament's over to go fishing on their spots. Now, there's nothing wrong with fishing while they're out there. No. Just don't be on their spots that you got from them.
And, another thing, too, as a co-angler, when you get in the boat in some of these pro-ams that Kevin and I fish, we have co-anglers in the back of them, and they're actually fishing. The Marshal program, they're not allowed to fish. But in the stuff we fish, you have a co-angler in the back of the boat. Now, there are times where I've gotten to a spot, for example, like I did last week. I had a spot that I thought would be good to start the tournament, and sure enough it was, and it was ever cast for 30 minutes when we started the tournament day. And I told my guy, I said, please don't tell somebody about this spot. Now, will he honor that and not tell anybody? I don't know. He may or may not. But at least I asked him, and he knows, for me, if an angler asks me that and tells me that, and I'm fishing out of the back of the boat, I'm going to honor that because I fished as a co-angler. I fished on the pro side. It's just
the boater has put in a lot of time and spent a lot of money finding these fish. He don't want the whole world to know when he has put in the time and effort he has put in to find those fish.
And let me throw a caution at you. When it comes to hiring guides are great. And there's some really good ones out there that know what they're doing and know where to catch fish. But when you hire a guide and you're getting ready for an event, say next weekend, and you bring a guide in and you go out with him on this weekend before, well, keep in mind, he may have shown some other people the same spots he's showing you.
You have to be upfront and honest with the guide. All right, I'm coming fishing. I'm bringing my son. We just want to come catch.
Yeah, we just come to go fishing.
Hey, I've got a tournament, and if it's fine. If you're hiring a guide for a tournament, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
be upfront with them though, and say, hey, I've got an upcoming tournament. Show me a few things. Show me how you would approach it. Yeah. Because here's the problem is when they tell the guide, hey, I want to go catch some. I'm just coming in. I want to go catch some. And the guy starts doing some I'm very good friends with a lot of the guys at Toledo Bend, and they do some research seeing, oh, well, this guy's got bass champs next weekend. That's why he's coming with me.
Right.
But those guys, if they don't find out and they take them to one of their guide holes, guides have guide holes.
Yep.
They have tournament holes.
Yep.
In places they take guys that are coming in from out of state or something for tournaments and show them, and they take you one of their guide holes and you really catch them. Yep. And usually a guide hole is where you can go catch numbers.
Yeah, 1 and 2 pounders.
And then all of a sudden, you show up on Saturday because you didn't tell him you was coming to fish a tournament, and he's guiding, and he pulls up, and you're whacking his fish. Again, guys, this goes back to this is how they make a living.
Yeah.
On these holes, and you come steal these holes from. Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with hiring a guide to find fish, but you have to be up front with them and let them know why and what you're wanting to do.
And be aware. There may be other people sitting on the same hole, because that happened to me at Lake Texoma. I hired a guide, went out with him a month before the event. Put me on about 4 different spots. I said, hey, that's good. I'll find the rest of my stuff. And I was using it basically for backup. It wasn't going to be my primary stuff, but I knew if I was in that area, I could maybe go hit that. Well, when I got there and went to go hit those spots, guess what? There's 3 other boats on that spot. And I got to talking,
that guy that week.
I got to talking to the same guys, and they're like, well, yeah, I hired old Joe Blow the other day. Man, we went out. He showed me this spot. And I'm like, yeah, the same guy showed me a month ago. So be cautious and be aware of that.
So it all goes back to our title of the tips this week is find your own fish.
Yes, please.
So use all of these avenues, guys. The marshaling program, the co-angling, guide trips. Use all of this to learn what they're doing to find your own fish. That's the whole reason we want to talk about this segment. Don't steal somebody else's. They have put a lot of time, money, and effort. a lot of these guys do this for a living, and they need those fish to make a living on. So,
Kevin, how many times too have you gone to a spot that maybe Billy Bob has showed you on a map? Hey, there's these fish are right here. This is where they're set up. You can go there, and I guarantee you can catch them. And you go there, and you can't catch them. Billy Bob can go catch them because Billy Bob's used to catching them off that spot. And he knows where the boat needs to be positioned, how it needs to be positioned, what baits he's been throwing there. He knows how those fish are set up 9 times out of 10. You may not know that. And it can be frustrating. And so I've always said, go find your own fish. I go find my own fish. Plus, it's more satisfying, gratifying to you as an angler when you went out and you found fish on your own, whether it was with electronics, whether it was going shallow and trial and error, whatever you did, and you learned to catch fish on your own. It's just so much more gratifying to know that somebody didn't put me on them fish. I caught them and found them myself.
We all have to learn. We all want tips and techniques to learn from others that do it for a living.
Yes.
But use all these avenues for those purposes to learn, not to steal fishing holes.
Right. Anything else, Ken? We want to wrap this up?
I think I'm off my soapbox, Steve.
Yeah, well, me and you both. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you listening. We'll be back with more next Monday with Tackle Talk Live.